Um, I had talked about like the thing I'd want to do with that is I would probably invite people who I would say are quote unquote confident in their ability. And then more than likely I'd be inviting people who are either other streamers or that I particularly trust to, you know, to behave kind of thing. Because that is one of the things that's unfortunate with streaming is all it takes is inviting one person who decides like it's going to be funny if they say a bunch of racist crap or whatever it is to get you in trouble or make a scene or whatever. And while I don't really have anyone in the channel, I'd be like, oh, like I would expect that type of behavior from such and such. Because if I did, that person wouldn't be here. But it is one of those things I just have to be careful about. It doesn't even need to be that bad. It can be someone who just like is jamming to music. I don't hear it, like I don't realize it. We're playing the game, going along, and then some DCMA or some copyrighted song that's not DCMA friendly is blasting in their background. They start talking, and suddenly I get a DMCA hit for it. And it's just like, oh, that's no good. It sucks that it's that way, but it can be totally innocent. But like for people who stream, it's like okay, I can be fairly confident that's like people who stream with any regularity. It's like all right, yeah, you know the stuff you're not supposed to say, and you're still here, so you clearly aren't saying them, and you know not to blast stuff that's copywritten to be on all tracks where it gets other people in trouble, so you know not to do that and all that kind of stuff. Or just like friends I trust kind of thing. It's like yeah, I know you're not gonna do that. Like honestly, with how problematic some of that stuff can be, it does honestly surprise me how many people are just like, oh yeah, like we just do like voice over IP and everything. We let people on, like it's cool. And I'm like, man, that is bold. Because it only takes one person. Because you know the person who's going to do it. They're going to say a bunch of racist crap on your Discord, and then they're going to be the ones to report you for not moderating it. Because they're like, ha ha ha, I got this person banned, ha ha ha. Now, for example, Brittle Knee, she has her community day she does for Path of Exile. Like, she does that in a way that's very well protected in the sense that she doesn't get any of those people on Discord that I'm aware of. Like, she might have one or two people that she really trusts on there, but all the people are going in and out of the rotation and everything. They hop in, they can say stuff inside of Path of Exile chat and all that, and they could say that, but there is censoring in there. And if someone was troublesome, she would kick them and they wouldn't be welcome back, kind of thing. But yeah, people also will sit there and go, "Oh, well, it's subs only," to circumvent that, because then there's an expense to be that kind of type of a troll, where it's like, all right, well, you paid $5 to maybe get me in trouble. I just hate that it is that way. Like, and that's one of the frustrating things. Like, even with game music, like there are so much in the way of games that like you can't even trust the game to have copy protected friendly music. Like you hear games like people playing like GTA 5 and then getting copyright strict even when they turn the music off in the game, because there'll be a club they walk past that even though you have the music off still has music that's copywritten. I have not, like, I want to play this league. I've heard nothing but good things. But there's like it's the problem. I've mentioned this a number of times on stream. It's like I would love to play this league, but Path of Exile is one of those games that you either play it or you don't. like, when you are playing Path of Exile, it leaves little time for anything that isn't Path of Exile. I'll be right back at 5 push-ups. Okay, let's see. But yeah, no, it's yeah. So it's like I don't know the new league mechanic. I haven't seen that. I did hear the new league mechanic as well as ones that like you don't want to do it on every single map. It's kind of like you go 2, 3 maps to get the resource, and then you do it. And I actually like those ones more, just because when you can do it on every single map, you end up getting to the point you're just tired of the league mechanic because there's just too much. Yeah, Panophobe. So that's actually, you'll notice on the bottom in my about section, I am an affiliate with Pretzel. And all that means is if you sign up for the Pretzel through my link below, I get a kickback. But that's the reason I use Pretzel for music on here, is because then I just turn off all of music in all games, because you never know. And there's definitely games that have come out and said, our game, you're totally fine for music and all that. Cool. But like, that's the reason I have this player, because with like Spotify, they'll have like, this is the DMCA friendly list, but you still have to be careful with that, because like the licensing a lot of those things have with YouTube is different from Twitch, and they'll just say like generic blanket stream license, and it's still just super sketch. Whereas like Pretzel, they've got like a little tick box like, this is the Twitch friendly music, this is the well, it's all Twitch friendly, but then there's a separate tick if you're trying to get YouTube friendly, because YouTube's more restrictive. Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people who don't even worry about that. They play completely copywritten music, and they just don't have it add to their VOD, and you know they can effectively get away with it. But I do worry right now where people keep watching like entire shows on Twitch and getting, you know, getting banned, like big streamers. Like, it is going to force Twitch's hand where they are going to have to clamp down on copywritten stuff, or Twitch as a company is going to get in serious legal trouble. So you know, Twitch being run by Amazon, that's coming. So I'm making sure to be extra careful about DCMA. Because I figure what's going to happen is there's going to be like some ban wave or something that'll come eventually, and a bunch of people who have been doing stuff they thought was safe for a long time are going to get caught in the crossfire, even trying to do the right thing. It is a possibility of doing our game day. That's the challenge with Path of Exile. And this is a challenge with a lot of the games I lean towards. They're the kind of games that you get into, and they take, you know, hundreds to thousands of hours to like really complete all this stuff. Let's just say hundreds of hours. And Path of Exile is definitely one of those. Like, if you're going to dip your toe in a league, you need to plan to put in, what, like, I'd say 100, 200 hours in a league to meaningfully get through it, because you have to get through the story. That's going to take you at least 5 to 12 hours, depending on your, like, are you doing a build that goes fast? Are you a player who is good at going fast? Do you go fast? Like, because I definitely go through the story quick, but not like speedrunner quick. Like, I don't full on blitz to try and get through it as fast as humanly possible, but I do try and be a bit aggressive on my speed. You know, by the time you get through white maps or gray maps, whatever you call them, it takes well. Yeah, I'm not sure I would want a skip mode, but I would much rather there was like, and I know Path of Exile said they will not do it, and granted they said there's a lot of things they have said they will never do that they have now done, but I do wish they added like a adventure mode of sorts. That it was basically you start it and you say, you know what, I don't want to do the story. Let me just play the game. And it's effectively like you just start in maps, but there, you know, you start on the level 1 map, works its way up to level 10, and then you get the next set of map, and it's up to 20. So it's just doing like the end game map grind. You just start very early and just, like, you know, level 1 map, you're going to put it in there, you're going to be level 5 by the time you finish your first map, so who cares? So it's just a different way to advance. Now the problem is, because they have all the races they do and whatnot, that is just, like, if it's too powerful, that'll be the end of it, that kind of thing. So they might still make you run through a character to get through stories. I just want something other than the story, honestly. I've done the story over 100 times, that's not an exaggeration. Sometime on stream I'll show my hideout where I've got a whole bunch of the completed totems for all challenges done for a bunch of leagues, to give you an idea how much Path of Exile I've played. But yeah, that's my hesitation. Like, hopping in one stream to do Path of Exile, like one other game's day, we'd get through, like, you know, 11 hours, we could get through the story, no problem. Like, unless I choose a build that is a particularly slow build, we'd get through the story. We'd get started on the white maps, but I don't think we'd be able to get to yellow maps, I don't think, in that time. I don't think that'd be realistic. Yeah, that'd almost certainly not be realistic. Go away. I want to get my car back. Oh yeah. Like, it wouldn't be so bad if we were going, like, back to the day where there's, like, let's say, like, there's just 5 acts. You fight Kitava the first time and that's the end of the story. Like, that wouldn't be that bad. Just 5 acts. Especially since, like, in a lot of ways, acts 5 through 10, it's like, okay, you know that thing you just did? Just do it again, but the story will be different, but, like, all the areas will be the same. Oh yeah, I think, and this is me just going by assumption, so Path of Exile is planning to have Path of Exile 2 come out, which is not a sequel. It's being presented as a sequel, but it is a major update, like, to a lot of the core functions of the game. And so what I think they're trying to do is they're experimenting with a bunch of extremes, that stuff that they would never have allowed in the past, to go, okay, well, we've never experimented with this. Like, we're talking about doing this major revamp that we don't know, like, what limits are going to be okay, bad, or otherwise, like, for the game. But because we have this, not reset, that's not what's going to happen, but this point that's a breaking point between the new and the old. Like, let's do the experiment with juicing the crap out of your character to a ridiculous level. Let's do something where stuff just sprays loot all over the ground. You know, let's do these overtuned things. You know, that way we can find where the healthy spot is. And I actually like that they experiment like that, because it used to be, you'd go, okay, well this league's gonna be a bit more generous on loot, and it'd have like 2 more items dropped than normal. And you'd be like, come on, GGG. That's not experiment. You didn't learn anything meaningful from that. Crank it up like 30%. See how the community responds. See how it goes for longevity of your game. Then come back. If it's good for your game, keep it. If it's bad for your game, get rid of it. Fair enough. Oh yeah, so I actually used to play hardcore in Path of Exile. Like I've got all the achievements for Path. Actually, do I have all the achievements? I know they added new ones. I think the new ones I don't have. Like, I had done the things to complete the achievement, but not since the achievement came out. Like, they had one for Kill Cirrus. I've killed Cirrus dozens and dozens of times, but nowadays when it gets to League, haven't like the last two leagues I didn't get to Cirrus because it's just like I got to kind of like yellow maps and like okay I can't keep playing this game, like it's it's gonna hurt my wrist, like I just can't, and I want to play other games and I can't because so many of the past leagues were just completely disrespectful of your time, like Ultimatum RNG boss. The moment I saw that I had to do like this boss that was gonna be 100% RNG, I was just like nope. You just have to hope the boss spawns, and you have to hope you're in a situation that you're ready for the boss to spawn and all that. I'm like, this is all crap. Stop doing this. You can gate your bosses behind challenges. Cool. You can gate your boss behind currency. Cool. Do not gate your boss behind RNG. Because there's nothing I can do to improve that RNG. Just play more. Oh yeah, there's been a bunch of builds that like I had a great time that just don't even exist anymore. Like mechanically, like not even the numbers problem. Mechanically, they don't exist anymore. There's just no doing it. And I've done some absolutely silly, ludicrous builds. Like that's honestly my favorite thing about Harvest League was like, okay, the mechanic, sure, whatever. It printed items, that's fine. It was that there was builds that had no business existing. They were so like just off the wall absurd. But you'd be like, hey, I can effectively throw gear that's bordering like mirror tier gear just readily at this. I can make it work by just gearing past the flaw of whatever skill or combination you're using. Because you can make an absolutely terrible build actually viable by just having mirror tier gear. Was Harvest clusters? I don't think Harvest was clusters. I think clusters were a little later. I'm trying to remember what league clusters showed up. It wasn't far after Harvest. I think it was like Harvest and then the next. It was not Ultimatum. The one with the creepy voice that talks to you. And the fog, Delirium. That's when they introduced clusters. Which I think was the league after Harvest? But yeah, Delirium is where the cluster jewels came from. Oh yeah, Delirium got rippy. It was so easy to just keep running farther and farther and just juicing up the enemies more and more. And that's kind of the difficulty of like, going from like picking up everything again. Like you're being new to Path of Exile versus like you're getting really good is kind of figuring out, it's like, okay, I have this thing that makes my enemies hit harder. Cool, it's fine. I have this thing that multiplies what my enemies do for damage. Okay, it's fine. But then like doing kind of like the calculus in your head of going, okay, my enemies have three things that work together for them. I need to not be here. Like this is the point where you go, nope, this is just too much damage being thrown. And Delirium was one of those ones that you could easily have it go from like everything is fine to everything is way beyond not fine seemingly instantly, because you just went that one tier too far that, okay, the enemies did like 20% more damage. Well, 20% more damage when you're already talking like 5 and 6 multipliers on them was a substantial increase in damage. Like, and I liked the Delirium, like, King of the Hill, or not King of the Hill, the Wave survival event at the end. Like, I liked that one, because that was one where you had to sit there and, like, you're looking at your words, you read the text, you're like, no, I can read that, no, I am just entirely dead. Yeah. I mean, one of the things, and I mentioned this before, so one of the things I did change was I basically, the reason I took a break from Path of Exile more than anything was part of it is I wanted to play other games, because, as I mentioned, when you're playing Path of Exile, congratulations, you're playing Path of Exile. There isn't time for other games. But one of the things that was happening was my wrist was starting to bother, and I had a median nerve compression, which is like, if you keep pushing that, eventually becomes carpal tunnel syndrome. So the moment I had any pain in the wrist is like, nope, it is time to pump the brakes in this game, because Path of Exile has a reputation for just how bad it is for repetitive stress injury. Like, it is known in the medical field as a particularly bad game to be avoided. Like, that's how over-the-top bad it was. Now, granted, they've done a lot to improve things. But, like, the fact that doctors were aware of Path of Exile because of its medical impact. Which I only found out because, you know, I went to get someone look at it. It wasn't even necessarily a build that's the problem, it's the loot that's the problem, where it's like, here, I'm gonna, you know, grab a fistful of pennies and chuck them on the ground. You go, oh, well, turn on your loot filter. It's like, I can't. These pennies are required to summon the new boss of this league. And you decide I need 100 of them, and I pick them up in 2s and 3s. So, like, I don't get much choice around it. Or, like, I'm going to 6-link a piece of armor. Well, I'll get ready to click 1,300 times on average to just link your armor. This is dangerous. But yeah. So I understand they've done a lot to work on that problem, though. So that's really good news. Another thing that was really bad for the RSI, for most people with the RSI, is like the left-hand problem. It's the flask piano, where you have to sit there and, like, you know, curses will flat out just get you killed. You get, like, elemental weakness curse, and suddenly your character goes from they're literally taking no damage that's noticeable to suddenly your character just, like, the life bar disappears. And that's, like, the one-shottiness of Path of Exile is, in my opinion, one of its biggest problems. I hate being in this place. Okay. Because I couldn't see anything, so I'm like, man, I'm just going to walk into some zombie, and that'll be just the end of this character. But yeah, because of, like, between, you know, how hard bleeds could hit you, curse could hit you, ignites usually weren't that bad, but they could be, poison, all that. You had to constantly be just spamming your flask to effectively remove the mechanic from the game. Like, that's the reason the last league I played, I did an Inquisitor where I had immunity to all ailments, I had immunity to bleed, I had immunity to curse. Like, I just made it so none of the mechanics impacted me. I know my character wasn't the most defensive, but yeah. Yep. At least they changed Corrupted Blood now, so it doesn't stack like 20 times or anything ridiculous like that. So you don't typically get the ridiculous amounts of Corrupted Blood damage like you used to. Because it used to be you'd go into a pack, you'd fire into the pack who had Corrupted Blood, and then suddenly your life vanished. So you either had to have bleed immunity, or you had to have something to, like, you know, get rid of it. And, like, to me, that's bad game design. It says, we've created a mechanic, and it's overtuned, so we create a way to ignore the mechanic. Like, or, hear me out, spend your time balancing the mechanic, or just eliminating it if you can't. Because then the immunity becomes mandatory. I wouldn't say it's so, like, there's the RNG side that you're talking about, but it is a thing that's like, okay, you have Corrupted Blood. It's a mechanic in the game, and it will wreck your face. And a lot of this has actually gotten better. I want to be clear, I haven't played the most recent league. I do believe it has gotten considerably better from everything I've heard in these regards. But previously, Corrupted Blood, you'd hit a pack that would put the stacks on you. Suddenly you'd have, you'd blast a shot into the pack, and you're now sitting at like 12 stacks of Corrupted Blood, or whatever it was. I don't remember what the max was. And your character just falls over dead. So you could get a flask that would just make you immune to it. Not a problem. Like, you can use Bestiary to just put the modifier you want on it. Easy enough, no problem. The issue you ran into was you had to have that. And you had to use it every, 12 seconds? You had to re-up the flask? Otherwise, you're always vulnerable to Corrupted Blood. Because you couldn't, like, preemptively use it. Like, that wasn't the thing. Because with how fast everything goes, you wouldn't even realize you're going to be getting Corrupted Blood outside of a few exceptions. Until you have it, at which point you're already dead. Barring a character with, like, 9 endurance charges and a crap ton of life or whatever. So it basically required you every 12 seconds to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever your setup was, because you had to have one for Corrupted Blood, you had to have one for curses, you had to have one for I don't think, like, I keep saying Ignite wasn't that important. I think Poison was one of the ones you need to have, or like really should have a lot of times, unless you're what is it? Not Dark. I'm forgetting the not elemental. Chaos. Unless you're Chaos immune. But it's that, because that's the RSI concern. It's just, okay, I have to just keep pushing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 every 12 seconds from the moment I enter a map to the moment I exit a map. Yeah, I understand they did stuff to streamline the trials as well. Like, I could be mistaken. I think, was it they didn't require you to do the individual trials anymore? I don't remember. I know they did a rework on that as well. Like, that's the thing. My understanding is they have corrected a lot of these problems. Or mitigated. Like, now you can get flasks that you can just pay a new currency to the crafting table and say, I want this flask to automatically use the moment you have this effect. So, like, if you want an Ignite immune flask, you can go and put that in there. And Bacon Android says, hey, I came in a few minutes ago. What difficulty are you on? So I am playing on Sandbox, but effectively I am on what would be Apocalypse difficulty, except we have taken the zombie population from where it is defaulted at 1, with a 1.5 times modifier for peak. Instead, we are ending at 16 times, because we're at 4 times the base zombie population, 4 times the initial zombie population, 4 times the peak zombie population, and then our peak day was the very first day. We also normally only have 1 helicopter. I get never-ending helicopters, about 2 to 3 a month with the settings I'm on. The zombies do not respawn, so that's actually one thing that arguably makes life easier for me. But we are dealing with an absurd number of zombies. And so where you look at this absolutely carnage path that just keeps going the whole way down the road and out of town, that's just this area. And that's probably, I would guess, we're probably at about 1,000 zombies maybe in this area that we've killed. Give or take a little bit. And that's out of the 20,418 zombies we have killed. Our character is just coming up and having survived for 6 months. So, if you want to see an absolute meat grinder, that's what's happening here. It is one reason you'll see we use the hunting knife a lot, is because its stamina use is negligible, and unfortunately every fight we get into is entirely too big. We've joked a few times where, like, the AI pathing gets weird and glitchy and the zombie just walks right past us, or like, alright, that zombie is like, nope, I see, like, I am climbing over the big pile of bodies right now, I want no part of this. Thank you for the follow, Bacon Android. Welcome to the stream. But it's like, yeah, that's the zombies like, nope, nope, nope. Just don't catch their eyes. Just keep walking. I mean, we still kill them, but like, at least kudos for taking the moment to go, maybe I want to think this through. But yeah, pro tip, if you're dealing with lots and lots of zombies, you're not going to have a good time if you're using the crowbar, axe, or anything for the whole time, because you're just going to exert and do little damage and die. So as much as I like those weapons, keeping hunting knives and standby is awesome. Gotcha. I know they talked about changing it. Like that, not talking about the PoE 2 changes where ascendancies as we go. Like we're gone. Spears are good weapons, like really good weapons, but if you're talking about trying to preserve stamina, spears still use stamina and a decent amount. They're actually one of the, because they hit so fast, it's not a lot per hit, but because they're such fast weapons, you will burn through your stamina. Versus the hunting knife, like, I can fight literally hundreds of zombies with the hunting knife and not go exerted. So I juggle between weapons. You'll see me break out a weapon, use it until my stamina starts getting to the point where I'm getting close to exerted, and then I'll ping pong back to a knife. Hey, Mr. Lamprey. Yep. Someone was asking if we use spears, and I mean we do. Like I don't take the time to like produce them or anything, but I will certainly grab any spear I see and I will put it to use. It's something like advanced audio or something like that. I don't have the name handy, but if you look for advanced audio, I'm sure it will come up. But yeah, that'll let you change the sound. So if there's like a sound, spearfishing, that's entirely too loud, you can turn it down. If there's a sound that's just entirely too quiet, you can turn it up. I haven't had any sounds I'm like, oh, that sounds just too quiet. But I certainly have had my share of that. Oh yeah, so yeah. The Carnage Trail, you can just see where it comes out of town. You can tell exactly where I've been. I normally like to keep this off the road, but you know, there's too many. Yeah, no, I would say like for a primary weapon, if you're talking like meta, spears, if they aren't considered meta, are like a very strong competitor. Like the only thing working against the spear for being like just irrefutable meta is that you have to level up your maintenance before they don't just break left and right. And you also have to, I believe, get carpentry up as well. But like that would be the only negative, is that you have to kind of like work your way into spears before they really shine. Yep. But yeah, so it's one of those ones that's like, okay, when you first get the spear, you go poke, poke, spear's broken. Next one, poke, 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 spear's broken. And you might get 2-3 kills. But yeah, once you get that carpentry up and you get a couple points in maintenance, they feel pretty good. But yeah, the hunting knife, like, when you're dealing with fighting, you know, multiple hundreds of zombies a day, like, you use the spear to open up. Like, if you're let's say you want to go total tryhard and you just want to kill zombies at like maximum aggression. You get a bunch of spears prepped, you get all your skills ready, you start just slaughtering zombies. The moment things start to get like, oh, my stamina's kind of getting dicey, you pop out the hunting knife. You start, you know, you can keep fighting the whole day through, no breaks, no need. But yeah, I would definitely say, stop showing up behind me. There's a reason I'm going this way. It's because we've killed so many zombies this way. Yo, I said stop. But yeah, like, for me, it's kind of like the whole, you use whatever main hand you prefer, or your main weapon, like the spears, and then it's when you know, stamina's a situation, you go, okay, time to pop out the hunting knife, it's hunting knife time. Because at least then you know you're not going to go exerted. Because once you go exerted, just the damage penalties, they stack up so fast. Gonna have to catch up to chat in a moment. Because one of the neat things is once you start getting your short blade up to like 8 and 9, which you don't... Oh, don't get me wrong, that's very high. Okay, let me catch up to chat. Oh yeah. Yeah, poking things through the metal fences is mean. Yeah. Yeah, the exertion is always the concern of you just move too slow. So like even if you are like 2 or 3 tapping, if you have like a group of 8 all bunched up together closing in on you, it's just like, oh no. I'm gonna get like the first 3 or 4 and they're going to die, and then I'm gonna die. When the rest just pile on. And I'll do the announcement on, or not the announcement, I will call out that follow here in a second once these zombies stop just climbing out of the woods. I don't get it, we keep clearing this and we keep just having zombies pour out of the trees here. It's not like full clear like I'm going in the woods or anything. It is annoying how many we're getting out of those trees. That said, we are getting close to Riverside itself, so I'm not surprised we're seeing decent numbers. But thank you for the follow, concerned third party. Welcome to the stream. What is nice, like, and I haven't done it in forever, you get, if you get short blade up to like 9, 10 as well, like you can one-shot with a decent amount of reliability, or I shouldn't say reliability, you can get a pretty decent number of one-shots out of hunting knives too. You get mostly just 2 and 1 shots. I never use fire. The only times I have done burns on my stream is the start of the really CDDA challenge, because you don't get a choice, your house is on fire that you start in, so you know, like, the burn started whether you liked it or not. The burn life didn't choose you. Or you didn't choose the burn life chose you there. And then I'd also demonstrated why I don't use burns on a run, that we were just goofing off, doing like extended helicopters and all sorts of silly stuff. So I took fire into the mall in Louisville and just let the mall torch. Oh yeah, when you get like even when we start getting like this knife up to 7, when we start seeing, you know, the occasional like one shot where reliably we're like 2 and 3 shotting almost everything and getting decent number of one shots in there too, like the speed you go through zombies gets way faster. And that's going to be a must as we start going along, because we're still not hitting any of the super high pop areas. Like when we start hitting West Point, like, it is going to be just absolutely just bodies falling everywhere at that point. And even then, we'll probably just get, like, we'll get in range, the zombies will start migrating out, because when it loads them all in, they'll be just too bunched up and they'll want space. Like, we're totally going to get pushed back even as we're killing hundreds to thousands of them. It's going to be a whole thing. Yeah. I honestly think of our combat skills, maintenance is going to level up first. Probably short blunt will probably be next to be my guess. Just because the number of nightsticks you find. Oh, what was the, I don't have the context behind what you're going, you know, oh my god, Bacon Android. There's a lot of things that could have been on. Yep, Riverside Trailer Park. Oh! This isn't even bad. No, this is, so Insane Pop, I believe, is 6 times zombies, for context. This is 16 times zombies. This is literally the absolute maximum that Project Zomboid supports without modding. And where it seems like, hey, that doesn't seem like quite that many. If you look down at our kill counter down there on the bottom left corner of the screen, we're at about 20,500 zombies killed. And for that, we have only visited Ekron, which is a small town between Riverside and Rosewood, the country club by Riverside, and we're just now starting to push into the trailer park by Riverside. Our best estimates, which is based on out-of-date math, and unfortunately we just don't have better math, you know, boils down to, we believe, somewhere in the area of 900,000 zombies on the world. But again, that's based on out-of-date math. It's pre-multiplayer math, population calculations, and unfortunately we haven't seen anyone who's done better yet to get an updated number. But yeah, so we're talking a lot. Yeah, Louisville is our last stop. It is going to be rough. One of the things, though, that, like, a lot of people are like, oh, how can you possibly have this handle your processor? If you notice, I don't beeline right into the middle of the city. You can't. Like, it would absolutely crash your computer. However, when you just slowly, like, scooch little by little more and more into the city, you know, you get a couple hundred zombies, you drag them out, you kill them. Oh no, if you have respawn on, you basically don't get to leave whatever town, like, I shouldn't say that. You find out where you're setting your base, and you spend every day just clearing out the respawns that show up. We did a run like that over by where Louisville was added, but this would be for Louisville. We went to the warehouse in the far end there, and literally for like 3 months in-game, we just meat grindered the zombies there, because the zombies respawned at such an aggressive rate that even with us killing over 1,000 zombies a day, they were out respawning our rate of killing them. And like that character died basically trying to abandon that place because we're going to die by starvation and all that in the winter because we can do nothing but fight zombies forever. Like, getting to the river to fish was a slog. Yeah. Yeah, for us with what we were dealing with, and this is again all pre-Louisville, pre-multiplayer and all that. It was like the 16x pop with respawn on because we were in the pop part of the map. I think we did the calculations that the tiles next to us were supposed to have something in the area of like, oh, something ludicrous, like 6,000 or 7,000 zombies in them. So every 72 hours you're trying to respawn something like 10% of that. And then we're like, okay, but we got tiles all around us and we had multiple helicopters going. We did the math, we're like, there's like 6,000 or 7,000 zombies potentially respawning around us each 72 hours. What? What do you even do with that? And I realize the spawn doesn't quite work that way. I actually haven't got the very specifics figured out of that yet. But it was still like, you would fight and there was always like 5 or 10 hordes in the area around us. Yeah, exactly. And the moment you accidentally pull way too many and they just dump into the building, you're like, well, that's the end of me. Time to take the walk out of town. That's the joke we always have. It's like, you start your run, you loot your first building, maybe you get through the whole building, and then you are unceremoniously evicted from the entire town, because there is no reasonably getting into another building and doing much. Because, like, if you go near any of the windows, the zombies just close in. Like, even if you ditch the horde on there, it's just, they immediately go, oh, there's too many of us, spread out, team. I have, I think I have a clip over. I think there's a clip called Shortest, where we did a run that I checked a cabinet and, like, one other thing, and the zombie saw me through the window, and literally just, we got closed in on from absolutely all sides in a matter of seconds. It was my shortest lived character in Project Zomboid, surviving less than 30 in-game minutes. Because, like, literally every window and door just exploded in on us. It's like, like, tried to do one of those things where you cheeky open the window, let the zombie climb in, and try and climb back out the window real fast. Didn't work. And thank you for the follow. Susanna likes cake. Or is it? Yeah, Susanna. If I mispronounce that, I apologize. Let me know and I'll do better in the future. But Susanna likes cake. Welcome to the stream. I also like cake. When did the zombies stop? I mean, mostly when you stab them enough that they you know, they stop moving. So I'm talking, and just to clarify, Susanna likes cake, I'm talking in-game 30 minutes, so this clock 30 minutes. Real life, that's, how long? I can't remember how long 10 minutes, you know, we can actually just sit there and do this. We can wait for it to do and just count. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm not counting anymore. It's like 30 seconds or something. Yeah, so it's like 25, 30 seconds or something like that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's rough. If you are new, let's see. Let me go ahead and do the walkthrough on some things. So if you're brand new to the game, one of the things I'd suggest, I'm going to get this up, hit escape. Go to Options. Under Display, here are some settings you should consider that'll make your life way better. I just realized how many people we have watching a stream, and I didn't even get a big raid that I'm aware of, so that's cool. That boosts the confidence a little bit. Anyways, so if you're doing anything that's high pop or long run, I would strongly suggest this blood decals setting under Display. Switch that to none. What that is every time you kill a zombie, it splatters blood. It'll be blood on the floor, blood on the walls, all that. It's kind of cool. But the problem is it never ever goes away. You can, like, get stuff to mop it up and all that kind of nonsense. But you're not going to go around mopping up every single blood stain you find. The downside is, because they never go away, that's one more texture, one more texture, one more texture. You start getting in the kills of tens of thousands of zombies, and your game starts running awfully. So that's your workaround. Now, if you're not surviving particularly long, or you're doing low pop, you can probably get away without this being a problem. It's also a good one to set if your computer, if you would describe it as potato. The next thing I would recommend is you see this ISO cursor visibility. I do believe they changed the default settings to this already, but just in case they didn't, I would recommend setting it to 50 or 75%, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. This one's purely a preference thing, but you can tick this box, show mouse cursor while aiming. And what that'll do is it'll make it a little bit easier to keep you from losing track of your mouse while aiming, because the cursor won't disappear, which is what it does by default. So that's a preference. Some people like it, some people don't, but it's one to consider. But probably the biggest of all of them is this aim outline. By default is on ranged weapons. I would super duper recommend putting it on any weapon. And I'll show you what that is in a moment. So the first thing is that ISO cursor. So if you look, you'll notice there's this little circle with a little line that's spinning around, and my character's falling around. That's where I'm aiming. I'm aiming at that circle and that bar, not my mouse. So that's good to be able to identify exactly where you're aiming. So that's just absolutely critical. It's pretty good when you're on, like, snow, or it's really dark, or it's really bright. Like, that part it does well, but if you're in an area that's, like, it's a little rainy, so it's kind of dim, but it's not really dark, that's when it's super easy to lose track of where that is. Now, you also notice the cursor being there. That's just the thing. So when it comes to the outline, if I can aggro some zombies and hopefully not a whole bunch. Okay, perfect. We got, looks like 3. So you'll notice once the zombie gets in range, a green outline will appear around the zombie. I recommend turning this on for 2 reasons. The first one is you can tell what range it is, because while most of the weapons, you can get a pretty okay feel for what the range is supposed to be. There's a couple weapons that are a little deceptive on the range, but others are not so much. Oh, come on. So yeah, so I'd recommend it. It also is really good because it tells you which zombie you're hitting, because there are a few places where it can be a little counterintuitive what Project Zomboid decides is going to be the priority for you to hit. Like if I'll wait till I've got a situation where I'm not doing zombies so I can talk through it. So I can give you a demo. Not an actual demo, because I'm not going to try and line it up. But before I talk about that, here's another pro tip. You can stand on a zombie, and it won't hurt you. Now, if it's a crawler, that's not true, but a zombie that's knocked over, you can stand on it. You notice I'm having a nice salad. We're having a good time. It's all cool. If another zombie's standing on it, same deal. It can't hurt you. I'm going to silence it because it's loud and annoying. But that's very useful to know, especially when you don't have a weapon and like 2 zombies roll up. You shove the one zombie knock over, and you try and quickly position yourself on the other zombie to then have a one-on-one fight with the other zombie. And you can do more than one. Like, you can stand on multiple zombies. That just gets hard to set. But, like, for prioritizing targets, one of the things you'll run into is let's pretend this zombie here is a crawler. And it's crawling, and it wants your ankles. Like, you obviously want to hit that zombie fast. Now, at the same position, there is a zombie you've knocked over, and it's starting to stand up. Now, for me, I would want to prioritize killing the crawler, because to me that is an immediate threat, versus the zombie that's getting up is an imminent threat. It's not going to hurt me yet. I got a couple seconds, so I want to kill the one that's crawling. Project Zomboid will, by default, prioritize the zombie that is getting up. So that's one of the things that's nice about that green outline, is I would sit there, I'd get my weapon ready, I would see that green outline is on the one getting up and go, whoa, that's not the one I want. And it would just back up until it's going to hit the one I want. And you'll see me do that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I hate crawlers. Because their hitbox is funky. Hit prioritization can be a bit of a problem. But, they're just a bad time. And I'll also show you something that is useful information here in a second, when I get down to just one zombie again. So, once you have Nimble of about 2, you'll notice if I just keep backing up, this zombie can't catch me. So, don't panic. My biggest recommendation for any player new to the game, take your time, slow down. You'll be used to games like Left 4 Dead or State of Decay or The Forest or whatever, where you run around, you do all sorts of stuff. Stamina is life in this game. When you go exerted, the damage penalty isn't like 5-10%, it's like 20-30%. The damage penalty is absolutely severe. So you do not want to get exerted. Just give him a little poke, get his attention. So, you'll notice I only run when I'm deliberately trying to train sprinting, which is not often. Or if I'm very specifically, like, being intercepted by a zombie and I want to get past the intercept. Otherwise, I will walk. Running also makes you hot and sweaty, which uses water, which isn't nearly as important, because water, once you figure out how to get water, water isn't that big a deal. Yeah, when you get exerted, it's a good time to say, you know what? It's time to go. Oh yeah, don't use the wood axe or the sledgehammer on a weapon if you value your life. Because not only will they exert you, the attack speed on those weapons is one of like the slowest in the game. So you can just have a pack of zombies and you will absolutely demolish the first zombie you hit with it. Don't get me wrong. That first zombie you smack, that zombie is going into the dirt. But, while you take, you know, what feels like a week to get that hammer back up in the air, for the next swing, all of his buddies are just going to pile in. Those are tools. Those aren't weapons. Oh yeah, and I did the same thing when I was like, I can't remember what the situation was. I was looting some boxes. And I'm like, I don't have a weapon. Oh, there's a couple of zombies. Oh look, here's a wood axe. I'll take that. And I hit the first zombie, and yeah, I did absolutely wreck that first zombie, even at like low skill. So katana is like if you get your hands on katana, it's one of the best weapons in the game, hands down, because like it will very reliably one shot with just like only a point or two of long blade. Like it is a very solid weapon. The problem is you can't repair them, and they're extraordinarily rare. So it's kind of a weapon. You get it, you go Superman, you start deleting a whole bunch of stuff, and then it breaks, and you think about the good times the two of you had together. But those times are over. So you say goodbye to your katana. Keep it for nostalgia, but it's useless to you now. But yeah. Versus the machete, like the big thing the machete has over the katana is you can repair it. Like the katana will, delete enemies much more reliably than the machete, but you can repair a machete, so it's not instantly over. Yeah, so it's time to head back to our main base. We have been pushing this hard, but we're getting ready to be sleepy, and we're about out of food, so it's time to go back to where we got our supplies. Shouldn't be cutting through the grass, it's ruining my tires. You can repair the machete. Like I don't think, honestly, I believe only the maintenance skill applies with repairs. I don't know, honestly. Like someone else might have that knowledge. Yeah, that was way earlier in the stream. Someone was like, "Hey, what weapon would you like to like? If you could add one weapon to the game, what would you like to see added?" And my immediate response was, I would like to see like a longsword or a bastard sword, like a 1.5-hander kind of sword. Something that's like, okay, make it so it doesn't one-shot quite as reliably as the katana, has a bit more durability. Like, make it something interesting. Yeah. Yeah, Tower asked. And I was like, you know what, actually, hang on. I would rather they have, like, a knife that has more durability. Make it rare. And that's just mostly because I like short blade. Yeah, and the reason why we're driving ridiculously slow is we do not have Sunday Driver on. We are using cruise control. Shift W will increase your speed by increments of 5 with cruise control, and Shift S will reduce it by 5. And just incrementing it up will turn on cruise control automatically. Tapping your brakes will stop it. The reason we're driving so slow is if you drive over bodies fast, your car will do interesting things. And by interesting, I mean gravity-defying kind of things. And while that doesn't necessarily damage your car on launch, losing control of your vehicle can be really bad. Normally I try and keep the bodies off the road so I don't have to do this slow, but things got a little out of hand. Yeah, Ogoso, I've had so many people like, do you wish they had martial arts in this game like Kenshi? And I'm like, yes, but not really. Like, part of me does want it, but me, like, thinking of, like, actually the environment of the game and the game experience, like, no, actually, I really don't want it. Like, if they were to add it, I would say, you know what, there is a risk that when you punch a zombie and you don't have, like, proper protection on your hands, you can just cut your hand on the zombie. With all the risks. So it'd be like an option, but it'd be the I'm choosing to do this dangerous thing. Like, and at that point, like, why would you? Yeah, I could see something like that. I'm not sure. Like, I could see a weapon that is a quote unquote like fisticuffs weapon, but it'd be one of those ones that like when the weapon breaks, you lose your choice to fisticuffs. Like, I'd still make you like require you to have a weapon, because that's kind of one of the things I like about Project Zomboid. Is there are times that like you broke your weapon, you go, I don't feel safe. Yeah, so you're seeing I'm hitting like one body at speed, and the car's like bouncing up on two wheels. Yeah, and that's kind of the same thing I was thinking Elgoso was like. Elgoso saying, yeah, it wouldn't fit at all, but it would be sweet. It's like, yeah, that's kind of thing. It's like the part of me that wants it's like, yeah, that'd be fun to play with. And you're like, right, but that would change the whole thing. Like, that's actually my fear. Like, they're adding NPCs back into the game, which I never really played with the NPCs. They're going to be adding animals, and like, just because I'm like, but that could change the whole feel of the game. It's like, that doesn't mean it's bad, but it's just the whole, I love this, don't change it. But at the same time, like, no, let them figure it out. As long as they have a toggle off in the sandbox settings, if I happen to not like it, we're cool. There's a lot of realistic stuff, but there's also a lot of stuff that when you objectively look at it makes no sense. So it's fun in that, like, and it becomes a discussion point in the stream quite often. If someone's like, you know what, I should be allowed to carry a ridiculous amount of weight. What do you think? It's like, eh. All right, when I say ridiculous, I should say a completely and believable in the real world amount of weight. That would be ridiculously large amount of weight for Project Zomboid. Like that, your base carry weight could be like 40 kilograms. It's like, yeah, an actual person in the military can totally carry 40 kilograms. Like, that's a thing. But having that kind of carry weight in this game would be ridiculous. But then at the same time, you're like, okay, I'm gonna pick up this propane tank, like that's like this large white, like goes under your grill propane tank, and just walk around with it on my back, and it's not gonna be a big deal in the game. I'm like, maybe I don't want more realism. Because I don't know about you, but if someone's detaching, like, just like a book bag kind of thing, putting a propane tank on my back, it's not going to take me long before I'm pretty upset about the issue. I can certainly imagine, Mr. Lamprey. Like, the closest I can experience was just, like, going to school and then having entirely too many textbooks and going, how much does your backpack weigh? And, people going, that's not okay, like, you can't carry that much. It'll ruin your back. And like, well, I have an obligation because school, so if you can get them to get rid of some books, I'll be happy about it. Oh, and one thing to clarify for people who are also new to the game, when you see weight here, this is in kilograms, it is not in pounds. So when you sit there and choose obese and it says 105 and you're going, wait, how is 105 obese? It is in kilograms, not pounds. So, like, where if my person is like a full-grown adult person and they're weighing 74 pounds, you underweight. You way underweight. But because it's kilograms, not that big a deal. Yeah, I will say from being involved with helping, like, I have not published a game or anything, so I want to be clear. Like, I'm not some AAA game dev or anything like that. Like, I've published plenty of software that's been very successful, but not in the games field. And I can 100% tell you, when people are like, I want my game to be as realistic as possible, the answer is no. No, you really don't. You can have quite a bit of realism, but there is stuff that if it's realistic as possible will not be fun. So you gotta fudge stuff around a little bit. What I find fascinating though is it's like temperature Fahrenheit, This is in kilograms. In the car, I believe it's miles per hour. Like, they are just all over the place with the units. Let's top off that generator. I think the gas is in gallons. Yeah, I believe, though, by default it's in Fahrenheit. I could be wrong about that. I'm pretty sure it is. By default it's Fahrenheit, and you can totally change it. But it's just kind of those things. It's like, so this is Kentucky, right? But we're using metric for a lot of things, right? But we're also using the, you know, imperial units for other stuff, right? I'm so confused. Like, choose a system, I don't care which one. I'm willing to adapt. Just choose one. Of course, then they'd be like, no, we're doing temperature. The default's going to be Kelvin now. That's what we're running with. That way we end the argument with Fahrenheit versus Celsius. We'll just use Kelvin. That way everyone's unhappy. I honestly don't mind. Like, I wish we did a better job of adopting metric here. Like, it was something that they taught me in school when I was there, because they're like, oh yeah, we're going to be switching to this, don't you worry, and then that just never happened. Ooh, our veggies are starting to get deplete a little bit. I'm really surprised those strawberries are still fresh. I figured those things would be long past their prime by now. And now, per tradition, every time we get ourselves a katana, and it breaks, it goes on the bed. We are running out of room. I mean, Dr. Ellen Ennis, and if you are questioning her doctorates, you can look right here on the wall. She has a surgery doctorate. I can't actually, wait, yes I can. And a doctorate degree. So Dr. Ellen Ennis, you know, has killed 20,000 zombies. She is a very dangerous person.